Welcome. In this video, we're going to examine measures of center. Measures of center look at a data set as a whole and try to find a measure of central tendency, a number that represents the whole data set. The three kinds of measures of center we're going to look at are mean, median, and midrange. Historically, mode was also considered a measure of center, but we'll see why that's no longer the case. So first, we're going to talk about the idea of distribution, then explain why mode is not a measure of center, and then finally, we'll examine the three measures of center: mean, median, and midrange. A distribution is a data set viewed as a whole, rather than thinking of the data set as the individual numbers or values or points that make up the data set. Here we see two data distributions, two data sets. The one on the left has a single mode. The one on the right has two modes. Some data sets do not have a mode at all. So a mode really does not necessarily represent the center of a distribution and is no longer considered a measure of center. It is a feature of the data set, just not a measure of center. Here are two additional examples. These are numerical examples. In the first one, 2 is the mode because that occurs the most. It occurs 3 times. But that's actually the minimum value of the data set. For part B, 23 is the mode, which is the maximum value in the distribution. So rather than being in the middle or a central value of the distribution, in these two cases, they're extreme values. On the other hand, mean is the most commonly used measure of center. Mean is the balance point of the distribution. Think of a bunch of children standing up on a teeter-totter and you're trying to figure out where the balance point would be. That would be the mean of that distribution of children. The mean goes by other names: arithmetic mean, arithmetic average, or sometimes simply average. In some sense, any measure of center is an average, but usually when the word average is used, it refers to the mean of the data set. Median is another measure of center. If you arrange the numerical values of a distribution in order, the median is the middle number if there is a middle number. But sometimes two values tie for the middle position. In that case, you would average those two numbers to get the median. In this distribution, there are 13 data points, and the median is the one that lies in the middle of the data set. Here are two examples. In the first case, there's an odd number of values in the data set, and so 4 is in the middle, and thus is the median. In the part B, 2 and 8 sort of tie for that middle position, so we would take their average, 5, to get the median. The mid-range is a fairly new concept. Range has been around for a long time. Range represents the span of a data set. How far is it from high to low? The mid-range is the midpoint of the range. So in this picture, we're showing the range as a line segment, and the mid-range is the midpoint of that line segment, and whatever that numerical value is for that midpoint would be the mid-range. Thank you for joining us.